All right, I'm going to start. Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on YouTube. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it? Especially if you love the movies.
Tango Shalom is now available
on
all
VOD major platforms. I think we messed that up.
Video on demand, or as they say in the trade, VOD.
VOD. Tango Shalom is now available on all VOD platforms,
which means
video on demand.
Look how you know. You must be a high school graduate.
I'm a college graduate.
Really?
Yes.
I got an honorary degree from Hofstra. Did you get an honorary degree?
No, I got a degree.
Oh, well, I got honorary. You know, I'm in the Jewish Museum.
What for?
What do you mean? As a famous Jew in the Bronx. I'm in the famous...
I'm in the Prospect Park in the Stones.
How big is the stone?
Well, greetings. Apparently our opening credit sequence somehow didn't show up. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and most importantly, your pharaoh of physical media. Robert Meyer Burnett, and I am here with Let's Get Physical Media episode 56, a special Halloween episode. I don't know where Dieter Bastian is. He's trick-or-treating. Maybe Silver Shamrock, the toy company that created those three masks, vaporized his head. But you know what? I've called in a pinch hitter. A man you know, you've grown to love him, a legend in home video circles. A man who knows more about home video than most people have forgotten over the last 40 years. I'm, of course, talking about the legendary George Feltenstein, all the way from Warner Brothers, the Los Bros Warner Brothers. They brought him back. He's here now. George, how are you, sir?
I'm delighted to be here.
George, it is fantastic to have you. Obviously, you know, you're like the Yoda of home entertainment. You are legendary amongst all physical media circles. Anybody who knows anything about the business knows who you are. And now you're back at Warner Brothers. You're back at your home studio. You're back where you should be. You're back in a place where you've made the world a better place to be. And thank God.
That every day.
Well, thank God you set up the slate for Warner Brothers for 2021. Otherwise, we'd be lost.
And we're already way deeply into 2022, so that's very exciting.
Well, let me ask you a question. How do you feel about the current state of physical media? Are you know, the PlayStation 5, you even told me it's extended the life of physical media game systems maybe 10 years.
That is my hope. And the thing is, I think what you're seeing now is, and to be completely transparent, we talked a little bit about this before we went live, but there are supply chain issues where a lot of discs are being delayed and are late. And I'm not talking about Warner Archive product or even Warner Brothers product, but industry-wide, because there is only one major plant in North America making discs. and demand for the discs is far more than uh, people who are making their projections of, how much discs would be needed for the fourth quarter were obviously underestimating that number. And maybe it would have been a good idea to keep another plant or two open, you know?
Why? But okay, here's what I don't get: the unbelievably competent people running the major motion picture studios. Uh, we've seen a lot of, like, almost every release that comes out, it seems like, has a recall issue or there's sound issues. I mean, you're the only person. Your institutional knowledge is vast in terms of where masters are, where film elements are. And yet, streaming has become such a big thing. HBO Max, Peacock, Paramount Plus. You would think that there would be people at the studios where their assets, their whole libraries, become their most valuable thing because they put them up on the streaming service. And you look at Disney Plus, and they've slowly been working their way through. They've been putting special features from former Blu-rays or discs. Why do you think that in all of this, well, we're going to make money and we're going to start a streaming service? How come people forgot about the actual catalogs that make these studios valuable? What was that about?
Well, I can only speak from my perspective, which is where
Well, they brought you
Warner
back,
is.
thank God.
And I share your opinion, and I am grateful for that. But the thing is, the library is the most important thing, and taking care of it is the most important thing, and having it ready for the optimum best quality is also the most important thing. So Warner Brothers does that and has a history of having put that kind of preparatory knowledge and forward thinking process first, going back years. And I think we're seeing the benefits of that now because there are, restored elements ready to go to create new masters and so forth and so on. That's a little different from the supply chain issue.
We have a question from Marv Dogger. Sends in a super chat and says, question for George. The Exorcist in 4K. When? And the question, I think I've asked you like this 6 times, but he says, what's the deal with the Devils? And is Warner's holding it back?
Well, I'll answer the second question first because there's not a lot to say, and it isn't really a secret. Um, it is a corporate policy that began with uh, our general counsel of prior administration, that any exhibition of that film is to be approved by his office. And we've had another general counsel since then, and that's now 13 years later. And that process still is in effect. So the film isn't being completely withheld. It is on DVD in the UK, in the
Right.
UK theatrical version, and that deal was renewed. And the US theatrical R-rated version, which is out on video cassette, that occasionally shows up on. I know it's been on the Shudder SVOD service, and there are some selected theatrical engagements that get approved. Um, but this is at the highest level of the company. It's not a home entertainment issue, and it is something that I have no involvement in except to be the truth teller. Basically, this is the case. There was an attempt by several people to try to get a home entertainment release, but here's where it gets very, very tricky. the way to release this film, in my opinion, is exactly as Ken Russell completed it,
Huh.
which includes a very, very um, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very controversial sequence. And if you were to do that, the market wants the full thing. So if we were, let's say we were to get an okay to release the film, but in a somewhat truncated form, people would still be well, people are always complaining no matter what. That is something I learned when I entered the business. No matter what you do, what have you done for me lately? We announced two huge movies this week, and it was like the list started piling on the internet of where's blah, 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 blah. It's not, it's what have you done for me lately? So in the case of this film, you really would have to approach it in the most comprehensive form. And the people that control what the public perception is are, frankly, they're concerned about blowback and the controversy. And this is not the first kind of film to create that. So there is a company policy. It's not completely withheld, but the company policy is that the general counsel has to approve any exhibition. So then back to question number one.
The Exorcist.
Well, there's one of the people who called me just a couple of weeks ago to see how I was doing. Now that I was back at Warner Brothers.
Thank
Was
God.
one of the first people I called when I got the good news that I was returning to Warner Brothers, and that is Mr. William Friedkin. And
What,
yeah,
let me stop you right there. So when Billy the Hurricane Friedkin calls you on the phone, like, does your heart go a pitter patter?
no,
Do you say? And I have to say this because it's a running joke. I'm so excited about Kino Lorber releasing To Live and Die in L.A. in 4K that if I didn't say Tom Jr. Jackson, I'm telling George Feltenstein that Kino Lorber is releasing To Live and Die in L.A. in 4K. Are you excited about getting William Friedkin's To Live and Die in L.A. in 4K?
Well, I would say that I've never gone to dinner with him. I mean, we don't have that kind of friendship, but we have a professional friendship that goes back several years. And one of the things I'm very grateful for is to be kind of the guy that creative people and their estates or their families or whoever, someone they can call in this huge organization that actually cares about their work and that they can call when they have a concern. And sometimes it'll be someone who I don't know where it gets forwarded and forwarded and forwarded and forwarded and ends up on my desk. But I have so much respect for artists, and that's how I became close with. I call him Billy. I mean, he's my friend. He has done commentaries for a lot of our films. He loves film, and one of the things that we worked on together was when we did The Exorcist and had this amazing footage shot on the set by Owen Reisman. Roisman, I pronounced his name incorrectly. I'm sorry. And we were able to make a deal with Owen. The footage belonged to Owen, but he couldn't do anything with it without Warner Brothers because he was doing it on Warner Brothers' nickel in terms of the set. So we made a deal, and that has been part of the Exorcist home entertainment release for a long time. But Billy appreciated that, so that bonded our friendship. And I can say that there are active discussions going on concerning a 4K release of said motion picture.
Well, I have to say, Warner Brothers has been crushing it in terms of 4K releases. A Clockwork Orange is absolutely beautiful. And I think I've bought 4 different versions of it from around the world just to get the Steelbook, the Zavi, the UK exclusive, the Spanish cult film, whatever it is that's shipped to me. How does the studio decide of when a movie's going to be released in 4K?
4K releases tend to be more of a group decision.
Mm.
Whereas when it comes to like Warner Archive, it's my decision. 4K investment in terms of getting the release prepared and done is so much more of an expense. And so there is a group of my colleagues who basically get together, numbers are run, competitive numbers are used. Well, this title performed X, so our title, which is similar because of, they're applying basic business principles to see if this would work. So, what has disappointed me at this point in 2021 is we're 6 years into the format, and we've only seen a trickle
Yeah.
of back catalog. And look, it took a long time for DVD. DVD came along 1997. I was brought into mine the catalog on DVD in the earlier, at the turn of the millennium, basically, because the first few years there isn't enough support. People want the newer movies, and people aren't going to buy players if there isn't the software for them to want to own. So it's a chicken or the egg theory. Um, I think you're seeing from other studios, and I can tell you from Warner Brothers, the doors to Oz are opening. I mean, obviously we have Oz out on.
Well, the thing is, all the streaming services are going to need 4K masters, hopefully in HDR or Dolby Vision. That's where everything is going to eventually live. So I would think the conventional wisdom is like, let's make 4K future-proof. The human eye, there's not going to be 8K. There's no reason to do that. We can't see in 8K. So
Hey,
wouldn't it be prudent for the studios to transfer everything in 4K?
well, what our approach at this point is, there's this massive, what I call, and maybe I've talked about it here, preservation on steroids going on at Warner Brothers. Um, Everything is being scanned 4K 16-bit. That's a raw scan. To take it to a fully color corrected, color graded, cleaned up, immaculate master with possibly a new soundtrack, hopefully a phenomenal soundtrack, that takes a great deal of money. And the more there is support for that kind of content in the streaming world, as the services become capable of handling that, I think you're going to see a lot more of that. But the initial step of scanning the elements and having them ready, push the button, bring in the colorist, get the DP, that kind of thing. And of course, with a lot of our older films, there's no one around who was part of the original film.
Right.
But then you bring in people who are expert, and you try to have reference materials that can guide you. So the future is very bright, I think.
Well, Warner Brothers has been always sort of at the forefront of home entertainment. The old media books they used to do, getting a 4K version of Shawshank Redemption recently, for example. Brent Madison asks a question. He says, question for George. What are the chances of A Nightmare on Elm Street in 4K? And of course, New Line released a beautiful DVD box set. And Shout Factory has been licensing things. Or will we see Freddy Krueger in 4K anytime soon?
It hasn't been discussed.
What?
What?
What kind of clown card are you running over there, sir? Come on.
Well, I haven't heard it brought up. You know, the thing is, when you're dealing with a film that was shot on an extremely low budget, you have to take into consideration what are you gonna get for your 69 cents. I'm joking about the price, but in all honesty, some films actually might not benefit from that. Now, I'm not making a definitive statement, and this is really just, my own opinion. I think there are other kinds of films that have more pictorial information in the negative that might be better candidates at this point.
Well,
but I think that at some point it's inevitable. It's a huge, important franchise that the company is very proud to be the owner of.
Well, so, one of the questions that people ask me all the time is, what does it take to transfer a film in 4K? Like, why is it so difficult? Like, I know from my own low budget post-production woes that when you have a photochemical negative, especially at MPI, you're looking at anywhere between $80,000 to $100,000 just to transfer a negative, put it up on a telecine, clean the negative, and all that. Why is it? And by the way, it's laborious. It's a difficult, long process that requires a lot of technology. I wonder if you could perhaps speak to the process. Once somebody decides, like when someone decides, the powers that be at Warner Brothers say, okay, we're going to do a 4K release. What is the process then? What is the steps that have to happen to put a film on, or to make a 4K HDR Dolby Vision master?
Well, fortunately, the policy is that if you're doing a 4K release, we go back to the original camera. All of our original camera negatives, if we own the film outright worldwide, are stored in our refrigerated vault on the lot, which is an amazing place. Some web shows have actually gone with us on tours through the vault, and we did a thing on Collider when Wizard of Oz was coming out, and showing just the negative, the 65 millimeter camera negative for 2001 next to an episode of Goober and the Ghost Chasers, because there's no rhyme or reason for what is on what shelf, but everything, the vault is set up in such a way that, God forbid, there was a nuclear holocaust, the world would blow up, people would all be vaporized, but the film would be fine.
That's all that matters. I mean, when it comes down to it, people are no damn good.
Going to be around to watch it, but we have a phenomenal system and protective vault. So for safety film, anything where the negative is like 1952 and forward, if the original negative is still extant, which is usually the case, the negative is pulled, the negative is inspected, the negative is evaluated and prepped for scanning. We go through the camera negative, and sometimes we'll find that with a very popular film, somebody along the way decided to cut in dupe sections. Like if a part of the negative got damaged, um, I'll bring up, and I'm not just throwing out names here, but my good friend Robert Harris found that when he was doing the restoration of The Godfather back for the Blu-ray release, and he did that at MPI, there had been so many prints made off the original negative of The Godfather that there was scotch tape on the camera negative. Now I'm hoping that there's nothing like that hidden in our vaults where such lack of care was taken. But you have to hope that your original negative was well cared for. And there were floods at times, you know. So if you're missing something, then you have to go back to your preservation separations, which were the protection elements made in case something happened to the negative, and come up with the very, very best possible solution. And then you scan, and we use a 4K, we use a 10K 16-bit scanner.
Wow.
Directly. Yeah. I had to, remind myself of how we moved up. And we have two amazing gentlemen working for us who do the, A-level scanning. And they go through frame by frame. So that takes a long time. And when you're dealing with nitrate, and you're scanning off a nitrate negative, and we've been doing a lot of that lately, you're dealing with such flammable material that we can only keep no more than 90 minutes worth of film on the premises. So if you're doing a 2-hour movie, you have to keep a half hour of the negative stored off the lot and then bring it in. You know what I mean? So a lot of preparation goes into just the raw scan. And then the colorist has to look at the film, look at the prior best version of the film. If it's a film from, let's say, post 1985 or 86, when low fade stocks were being used, you look at the answer print. Because if you look at an answer print from 1973, unless it was dye transfer, because they were still printing dye transfer here until 74, but let's say 77, when they weren't doing dye transfer printing, it'll be purple. The prints all fade that badly.
What do you do then? Can computer technology fix those things when you scan them in?
It's not the negative that's faded necessarily.
The answer prints are...
It's the answer print. So what I've done in situations like that, especially going back to pictures from the 50s, and this is not necessarily a 4K issue, is I go back and I look for Ektachrome photography that was shot on the set for promotional purposes. And there were lobby cards made in the UK in this process. And that will tell you what the colors were supposed to be like for that film at that time. So there are lots of different ways that we could find a reference. You can look at a 1-inch video master from the early 80s when a film was brand new and know exactly what colors the cinematographer and director had in mind. So there are different ways to approach it.
One of our longtime viewers here, his name is 200 Watt Studio, says, George, one of the great things about Warner Archive, Criterion, and Kino is that you provide the original stereo or mono soundtracks on all of your releases. Other companies only provide 7.1 or 5.1. Why is that?
I think it's a case of film to film. I mean, I can't speak for other companies. I can speak a little bit about Criterion only because they are dear friends and partners, and we've done a lot of films with them. Uh, there is a commitment to do the best possible audio and try to have the original track as well as any kind of new modernized track. We're working on an older film right now uh, for next year for 4K uh, that
Oh,
will
come on.
have a
You're
five.
being cheeky. Can you say what it
Yeah,
is?
I can't
All
say
right.
what movie it is. But
I
I
understand.
will tell you this: the Blu-ray came out with a beautiful 5.1 audio track that was built from original production elements. So it is organic. It is nothing was recreated decades later to try to approximate when it was recorded. However, it was a mono film. The Blu-ray did not have the mono track.
Wow.
The
Okay.
4K will have both.
Now, okay, which, by the way, awesome. But now, who makes sure that happens? Is that something that is
Well,
that under
in
your
that
purview?
case, it was me. And if I wasn't there, I can assure you that nobody would have even thought to put the original on there. I've always been kind of heading off the battle for making sure that the original is there. If you've created something that isn't organically part of the original release, you've changed something. Provide both. It's like what we did with Curse of Frankenstein
Hmm.
on Blu-ray, where we did all three aspect ratios and
What a
gave you
great
the one.
Halloween film, by the way, to have.
Exactly. It was supposed to be Halloween that year that it came out, and unfortunately didn't make it, but it was appreciated in December.
Now,
But it's
we
that kind
have
of thing.
I would I've never anointed her this, but I'm going to anoint her right now. The queen of this channel is the lovely Emma Bannon from the UK. And I apologize for her jokes in advance, but she really is one of the great foundational members of our audience. She says, "Never mind this 4K nonsense. Are we going to see some new Betamax releases?" And then she goes on to say, also a serious question. With the rush to release stuff so soon after its cinema release, do you think this means a fall in the quality of 4K releases, examples, extras, or picture quality? I mean, obviously, as we know, I mean, films are mastered in the best way they can be. But is there? I mean, are special features dead, George?
I think that, and this isn't exactly my wheelhouse because I'm the catalog guy. Okay.
Oh, way to pass the
So
buck, dude. Come on.
no. But there's truth in that. Those are decisions that I'm historically, except for a brief period of time during my career at MGM when I was responsible for everything. Um, I've been primarily involved in catalog product. When a film is new, uh, I think in terms of the master and the quality of that master, uh, the optimum is desired. The filmmaker is hopefully right there, or their minions to make sure that everything is top notch, top drawer, perfect quality. My general history of being in the industry is that not that much was created in terms of special features for a new movie because there is this limited window where the movie's not even out yet, and they're already working on getting the movie ready for a home entertainment release. Now, of course, all those windows are being turned upside down by streaming, premium video on demand, and so forth and so on. But ultimately, there's going to be a home entertainment release. And I think that there's a film that a studio released about 2-3 years ago where they came out with it with very few special features. And about 3 or 4 months later, they came out with it with a loaded re-release. And I thought that was really cheesy. What I look to, and I know you probably have a connection to remembering this, I think you were part of it, was what a classy, smart thing New Line Home Entertainment did with Lord of the Rings. When they released the film, and when they announced the release of the film, they said, you're going to get the film, and there's going to be some cool extras on this. But in December, we're coming out with something that is going to knock your socks off. So giving the audience the choice, be completely transparent from the very beginning so that they know, well, yeah, I'm going to wait 3 or 4 months and buy that super duper incredible edition. That is, I don't think anybody had ever done that before. And this was before New Line was totally absorbed within Warner Brothers.
Yes.
It was part-time Warner, but we distributed their product. We had nothing to do with the creation or marketing of their product. And I thought that was such a cool, respectable, honest. That's the way things should be done.
Well,
be completely open.
People who love physical media or whatever, they're not going to shy away from that. Everyone appreciates transparency. You're still going to make money. People are going to buy it. I mean, look, I understand that the new full-on, I know you weren't there when these decisions were made, but the full-on Middle-earth box set, the 4K versions of Fellowship or Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit are coming out, and those special features are not part of it. And I get it. We finished those special features. Lord of the Rings was done literally 20 years ago. And so high def was not even a thing. So we didn't finish our documentaries in high def. They don't exist in high def. So, I get it.
Nobody was making, if they were making anything in HD in 2000, 2001, it was interlaced.
Yeah, and we couldn't do it. I remember, I did all the special features for Superman Returns. And I even asked. I bought Sony Z1 cameras, the first prosumer HDV high-def cameras. And I said, hey, I'm going to start shooting this behind-the-scenes stuff in HD. And they're like, no, we don't want that. And in 2006, or 5 and 6, when I was finishing the 3-hour documentary that's on that film, I'm like, we did shoot in HD. Like, we could make it that way. And they said, nope, deliver. And I might have, I'll admit to you, I might have not returned any of my 1,500 hours of tapes I shot on that documentary. So maybe, but
Are they in Brandon Routh's house?
Oh no, they're here. They're actually in the observatory right here. Oh wait, shh, or not. Maybe they're not here. I don't know. It's an interesting issue. That whole idea about special features. But let me ask you this. Warner Archive, since Warner Archive to me has always crushed it. You guys have always set the bar. And if anyone is paying attention to, say, bit rates, as we've talked about before, the bit rates on Warner Archive releases exceed those of Warner home video releases. Usually twice, sometimes twice as much. And now that you're back at Warner Archive, from a philosophical standpoint, moving forward, what do you, George Feltenstein, what is your philosophy about how you're going to handle the Warner Brothers library moving forward? in terms of future proofing, in terms of making sure things go on to HBO Max, and now you're dealing with Discovery. How do you see the future of the Warner catalog?
Well, you just brought up a really interesting example, and it's something we were talking about before. Uh, I the pandemic has screwed up my my sense of time, so please forgive me for this. But uh, when HBO Max was set to, they had built their October. I guess they went on the air in May 2020, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So we were working on our Curse of Frankenstein release at that time. We planned an October release for Halloween. They had the film set to show on HBO Max in October of 2020. At the same time, we were going to release our Blu-ray. Now, the way things were set up, they would have been, and I think they even were, delivered the old, not particularly nice looking 1080i master, and that's what was on TCM, and that's what TV had been distributing for the last 20 years. I specifically went out of my way, knowing our release was going to be delayed for the Blu-ray till December. It takes a long time to get the discs made and sent and shipped and so forth, but you can get a master changed for streaming in a matter of days or hours. So I made sure that our brand new master, because HBO Max is so important to the corporation, I wanted them to have the best quality possible. So our new master that we paid for, I made sure that HBO Max had that on their service, so their viewers could see the film in its best possible fashion. I couldn't give them all three aspect ratios because that's the beauty of physical media. You're only going to get one aspect ratio on a streaming service. But there you go. But that's the goal, is to make sure that everything is the best. And discussions are ongoing right now for a pretty aggressive growth in terms of what kind of more aggressive remastering can be done for not only HBO Max but also for Warner Archive.
Yeah.
So that the benefit to the consumer and them being happy with what they get is the company's goal, and to take care of their elements.
Absolutely, and that's why it's vital that people like you are overseeing a studio catalog. Why it takes so long for a studio to realize that you really need people with institutional knowledge overseeing your entire value.
And make sure that divisions are talking to each other. That is a great gift of my role as it is now. Is I am officially ordained and blessed to cross divisional lines to make sure that the library is taken care of in all media, not just home entertainment.
Which is amazing. Speaking to that, and this is one of my favorite Warner titles, but Marv Dogger 2 says, will John Borman's Excalibur see a 4K remaster for either Blu-ray or 4K? HDR would be amazing. I would think Excalibur is a Criterion release. A 4K Excalibur disc, Criterion should put it out. Because, by God, I love Criterion, but sometimes their releases baffle me. They release movies that people are like, wait, what? Come on, give me one big title in your monthly releases. Wouldn't Excalibur be a great Criterion release?
Well, I am aware that consumers were not happy with the way Excalibur has looked and sounded on Blu-ray, or in effect, my
I'm one of those
understanding is
people, George.
the post-production process on that movie, I believe, cut corners. Am I correct in that?
I think so. I mean,
Because
my
I was
God,
working at the company at the time, so I can't, you know.
do you know? I know the actual hero sword, the hero Excalibur sword. I actually know where it is. It's in Los Angeles. It used to be in Ireland, but it has been recently moved to L.A. And you and I could
So
go where that place is, and we could hold that sword if we
there,
wanted to.
I would say there are probably, maybe, well, the list could probably be hundreds, but there are probably at least a half dozen to a dozen really prime, popular, best-selling movies that are being distributed in substandard form.
But why does that happen, though?
Well, because whoever was doing the work at the time wasn't doing the best job possible. And now we have the ability to revisit those things and correct those errors. Now, this might still be an area of controversy, but the Matrix 4K had the DP sitting with our best colorist and got the look of the film.
Dude, those discs rule. They look
And
so good.
that's because Bill Pope was sitting with Jan Yarborough at Warner Brothers Motion Picture.
Bruh. When I put that disc on, I was like crying.
The Blu-rays did not please everyone.
No.
Some people felt the look was wrong. So this was an opportunity to make that kind of correction. Now, I go to work, I go to work as, not actually driving to Burbank. I was at the studio on Friday with a nice mask on and keeping my distance, looking at something that had to be seen in a big screen. But we basically are working remotely from home.
Sure. But, sorry.
No, I was just going to say that this is the kind of thing where I would bring the issue to the attention of others and see what they have to say. I'm firmly on the side of Excalibur needing to be done. Anything that has Patrick Stewart in it must be the line ends here.
And no further.
Did I quote that correctly?
It was close. It's good. Star Trek, I don't know much about it. Nowadays, I find it to be pretty irrelevant in my life. Oh, wait. Just kidding. Justin says, George, you got to turn up your volume. We know. We've tried to deal with that. It's good. But thank you, Justin.
I'll
Justin.
talk louder.
No.
Raise my head higher.
But I would say, look, I'm a huge Warner Archive fan, and you guys have done things that still things that make life worth living with all the craziness. Something like the Bermuda Depths, you guys went the extra mile, and two different versions. You scanned the original negative and stuff like Bad Ronald. I mean, we'll let Wild Wild Planet slide. I get it. I understand. Like 5 people want it, so you're not. I get it. One day though, George. One day you're gonna just call me up and go, Rob. Wild Wild Planet 4K Dolby Vision. It's gonna happen. But
I'm gonna have you do the commentary.
Dude, I will totally. As a matter of fact, I will put together a murderer's row of commentators to do the Wild Wild Planet commentary, and we'll do it for free. Wait, no, we will. But so, you're back. I have loved Warner Archive, back even before they transferred over to Blu-ray, since the DVD days. I mean, when you see Green Slime go from DVD to Blu-ray, you're like, okay, these people know what's up. Now that you're back at Warner Brothers, do you have a new, especially with HBO Max, I would think that, like, if I was running HBO Max, I'd be like, okay, if we have access to the Warner Archive library, should we build a Warner Noir section on HBO Max or whatever it's going to be called? Because it like with Disney Plus, eventually everything Disney's ever made, with maybe the exception of the Mickey Mouse Club, will be on that streaming platform. So HBO Max is the repository of the entire history of Warner Brothers. So is there any like synergistic relationship that Warner Archive might have? And they're like, okay, we want to get all of these noir films, for instance. Or we want all of these, I don't know, social commentary movies from the 50s. Is there any kind of conversation like that happening within the studio?
What I can say is that I have befriended and made myself available to the folks at HBO Max. It's in my job description to provide support to HBO Max should they want it. And the same goes for my good friends at TCM. And everyone's talking. Home entertainment, HBO Max, TCM, everyone is talking about how to maximize and make the best choices for the library going forward. So some very exciting meetings have been taking place that I think, to your good point, there should be a dedicated place just for the amazing film noir we have. There should be a dedicated place for so many different kinds of. I think there should be a place for all the Laura Mar soap operas.
Oh my God!
Not my thing. Don't get me wrong, but there is an audience for Dallas and Knots Landing and Falcon Crest and
in 4K HDR.
But there is. So there should be something for everyone. Everybody's tastes should be attended to, as long as it can end up in generating profits for the corporate parent. And I think that's all doable. I think it's a very good place to aim.
I look, I agree. 200 Watt Studio asks, George, is there any way to see a new release schedule for releases from Warner Archive?
I don't quite understand the question.
I think he wants to know is, how Criterion's like, well, here's our releases for May of 2022. Is Warner Archive going to start putting out like release schedules for what you might have coming out 6 months in advance?
No.
Come on, dude. Come on.
No, there's a very good reason for that. We have to move dates a lot. And I will not okay a disc to go out until it's approved. And what if we're working on a film? This happened this week. We were working from the original negative of a nitrate film from 1934.
Wow.
And we suddenly ran into what is called mottling on the original negative, which are these spots that popped up. And I don't know exactly what causes it, if it's mold or whatever, but it means that we have to seek a second generation element to cover those areas. So that could delay a title for a month or 2 or 6. So
that makes sense.
It's when you're dealing with films that are 70, 80, 90 years old, and where the elements haven't been touched in decades, um, you can't promise a set schedule. Now, back in the Laserdisc days, remember when you were in Seattle. In the Laserdisc days, when I was running MGMUA Home Video, my catalog schedule was programmed 2 years in advance,
Yeah.
and I could stick to that because we were using, you know, we weren't doing dirt cleaning. We weren't we weren't aiming for the kind of perfection we can achieve now. So um, there wasn't anything that was going to make a release impossible unless a reel was missing or something like that.
Sure.
But now we do run into those problems. So we are trying to announce our titles earlier than we ever have before.
Mm.
We used to do them the Tuesday before the forthcoming month. The third Tuesday of, let's say, October, we would announce what's coming in November. That's a very limited window. So we've just broadened that window by, I'd say, at least 30 to 40 days. So just this week, we only have two features coming out in December, which is a month that we normally don't release anything. We usually cap it around Thanksgiving because to try to get press attention after Thanksgiving, it's very, very difficult.
Mm.
But when we have released things in December, it's because they were backed up from the past. And this December, we're releasing two huge classics: Angels with Dirty Faces with James Cagney.
Dude, I mean, come on.
Humphrey Bogart, off the original negative, a 4K scan, and a 4K scan off the Technicolor negatives of Ivanhoe with Robert Taylor and Elizabeth Taylor. And no, they were not related.
Both of those films are, I think, must-buys. Angels with Dirty Faces, come on now. I mean, come on. One of the great gangsta films.
Well, we actually had that out of release for over a decade due to some legal problems, and they've been resolved. And now the film is back in distribution, and it's going to be a loaded disc, and it'll have a Warner Night at the Movies on it, and you can go look for it on Amazon right now. You can pre-order.
Everyone, go pre-order Angels with Dirty Faces. 200 Watt Studio goes on to say, yes, please, 4K Victoria Principal and Donna Mills. Well, okay. I mean, George said it. If you want to see those TV shows, I'm all about that.
Well, we got to try to get what they're getting right now. Well, right now they're not getting anything, but I mean, a lot of those shows, they were shot on film, but they don't have a cut negative. And what they have is a 1-inch analog video master.
Dude.
So
And
they're going
NTSC.
Right. They're going back to the original camera negatives and doing like was done for the next generation. Only there are no need for special effects in Knots Landing that I know of.
Well, no, I mean, you think about like some of the great. Look, if there's any way, if I could have anything in my life, the TV series Wise Guy, Stephen J. Cannell, 3 seasons. When it was released on home video, there was one story arc in the second season that was heavily Glenn Frey was in it, and it was all about it was all about a record company with modern music, and they didn't license the music, so they've never released it on home video. If I could have one TV show in HD, Wise Guy, all 3 seasons. I mean, if I won the lottery, if I won like $1 billion, the first thing I would do is I would buy the rights to Wise Guy and just restore it. I don't care how much it would take. It doesn't matter. I want a 4K release, and I would do it in Dolby Vision just because. And having those TV shows, those restorations, they mean something. I mean, look at how valuable Friends is. Netflix paid $100 million for Friends for one year, for the year of 29.
Yeah.
$100 million, and everyone's like making it rain. I mean, come on, that was found money. So isn't TV with this and kids, kids who weren't even born, they go back and watch this stuff? Isn't it valuable, lucrative, or not?
Absolutely. The problem with television content, and there is this issue sometimes with theatrical features. We find not Warner Brothers features, but films that came from other companies that we inherited, where music wasn't cleared for all media. And trying to clear the music for digital is what is keeping a lot of, and for home video in certain cases, it's what's keeping a lot of television series out of view.
But why is that?
They were only cleared for free television and non-theatrical.
But okay, I get it. Everyone got to get paid. But why is that? Like, I remember when John Carpenter's The Thing came out on home video. Stevie Wonder's Superstition is in the film, and they had not, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High, movies from 1982. They didn't, because no one knew home video was like a thing when they, and yet they would release these movies with sound-alike tracks. So they'd move the tracks around. You would think, even today, don't people see the value of getting this stuff re-released? Or is it just about, I know everyone wants to get paid, but I would think that, my God, if something's made 40 years ago, are the music rights that lucrative?
The music publishers, we have television series that were made before either you or I were born, that people are dying to own on just DVD, no less HD and 4K.
Right.
And since we started Warner Archive, especially since we went deep into the library with shows like the FBI and Cheyenne and Maverick and so forth and so on, these specific shows, people are dying for them. And Warner Brothers used to own the music catalogs of a lot of great composers, but we don't own Warner Brothers music anymore. It had to be sold off to save the company from the damage that was done by the AOL merger. So Warner Music Group was sold in 2004. So it's a separate company. And to try to license the music for these series is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this problem exists at other studios.
Right.
Our good friend D. Ken Ross, look what he went through with The Fugitive.
Dude, and CBS let him go. I mean, as I like to call him, Big Daddy Ken. He was the Tony Soprano of home video executives. The man worked for Andre Blay at Magnetic Video. I mean, he was the fucking man. And they let him go. If it wasn't for Ken Ross, the Star Trek The Next Generation remaster would have never happened. And we never would have been able to get the cast. I never would have been able to host a round table with everyone on camera. That was all Ken Ross. And yet, well, let's let the current stewards of CBS, let's let Ken Ross go. Like, are you kidding me?
Well, sometimes the people making those decisions don't actually know what the people who they're letting go do.
But why then are they in positions of power? I mean, I know it's a rhetorical question.
I have a very particular point of view on that.
Well, I mean, I think this speaks to, in a way, it kind of speaks to culture. And we have to decide, who are we? As the human race. What is it what are we doing? And I think our culture, our pop culture, is such a potent force. And if it's not preserved, I mean, one of the great things, I mean, we talk about inclusion, we need to see where we've come. I think people forget, especially now, how far we've come. especially in the last 50 years. You know, one of my oldest friends in the world, he married his husband, and he has told me, he's like, I never would have thought this would have happened, and yet, if we don't preserve our pop culture, and it's only a little more than 100 years old if you go back to the dawn of cinema, so it's not like we're going back to ancient Egypt figuring out, oh, well, they just opened a new tomb in the Pyramid of Giza, and we have to preserve this stuff. I mean, it's all there. And people are, like you said, people are watching anybody. Mike Alito says, Third Watch. We need seasons of Third Watch. Everybody has their favorite TV show. Marv Dogger.
Huge request.
Yeah, Marv Dogger says, speaking of HBO and HBO Max, George, please get HBO to remaster The Hitcher in 4K for a physical release by Warner. The DVD HBO put out was in 4:3. Now, Dieter Bastian, who should be here today, did get me the German media book for The Hitcher, and it's pretty dope. But what about The Hitcher? I mean, how can The Hitcher not be out? Like The Hitcher, written by Eric Red, who, with Catherine Bigelow, I mean, The Hitcher, Rutger Hauer, C. Thomas Howell, starring in the restoration of The Outsiders recently. How can The Hitcher not be out in a good... Why are we waiting for The Hitcher, George? What happens?
What I can tell you is this. Until... I don't know the exact amount of time that this happened, but 18 months ago, 2 years ago, whenever it was that we, Warner Home Video, we were always the distributor of HBO Home Video, but HBO did their own thing, and our people sold their product, did the operations. We had no involvement in the marketing or the programming. That changed when it basically got absorbed into Warner Home Entertainment. And as soon as that happened, the first thing I did was go to my boss and say, we have to get our hands on the feature films that HBO has under their wing, because they have neglected so many amazing films that never made it to Blu-ray. And this is a sin. And the title I mentioned first was The Hitcher.
Bruh. I mean, come on. That movie, Robert Harmon, that movie rules. Mark Isham's score. Jennifer Jason Leigh gets torn in half, albeit off screen. I mean, come on. One of the seminal titles of the 80s. And what, did you get pushback? Why isn't...
No, the thing is that in the intercompany gelling of assets and so forth and so on, if I go on to our inventory right now, which I can do from the comfort of my home.
How great is that?
I will not see the HBO inventory. That inventory is still a separate system I don't have access to. But literally, within the last few weeks, something has triggered discussion of said movie and looking for elements and the negative, and something very wonderful could happen.
Well, the thing is, to me, you're kind of like I know they're making a Willy Wonka prequel, but you're kind of like the Willy Wonka of Warner Brothers. And if you can make, like you shared with me some things, I'm like, wow, you're a great chocolatier. You're going to bring delight. You're going to bring like the everlasting gobstopper of the Warner Brothers archive to the masses, which is great.
As long as it can be done in a way that's going to bring profit to the company at the end of the day and a benefit to the shareholder, I'm going to fight for everything that anyone wants where there's an audience. If
right.
there's an audience of 3, I can't fight for it. But if there's an audience enough to make it a profitable venture, I'm going to fight for it. It has nothing to do with my own personal interests. I know what the people want. It may be something I've never seen, but if I know the people want it and there's value to it, I'm going to fight for it.
And also, one day I dream of giving up my bootleg of Pink Floyd The Wall. I would love to have a remastered 4K Dolby Vision
There is one
Atmos
man
mix.
standing in the way of that.
I know.
And by the way, we do not hold home entertainment rights to that movie.
I know. That's why I have a bootleg Blu-ray of it. Oh, wait. Did I say that?
You didn't say that.
No.
When I was at MGM, MGM had television and theatrical rights. And MGM UA Home Video had a separate 10-year deal for home video rights with Pink Floyd. That deal expired, I think, in 92, and the rights reverted back to them, and their record label, which I believe is Sony, they took over the distribution of that for home entertainment. And we, having perpetual theatrical and television rights, need to get our hands on the negative to scan it in 4K or 8K,
Dude.
so that we can have DCPs play midnight shows in theaters.
I mean, my God.
And
I didn't go to my homecoming dance my sophomore year in high school because I went and saw the opening night of Pink Floyd The Wall, the movie. I loved it. And I've seen the movie, I don't know, 100 times. If any movie deserves a 4K remastered, and I'm talking full-on 13-channel, whatever, Dolby Atmos.
and
Come
when
on,
it
come
would
on,
happen-
Roger Waters.
Right. When it would happen, I assume it would happen through Sony Music Entertainment's home entertainment label. It wouldn't be us. Our days in that media with that film.
Yeah, but can you please oversee it, sir? Please oversee it, because although I will say this, Sony, they still kill it. They're like PlayStation 5. They want to have stuff. By the way,
Sony Music, not Grover Crisp, Sony Pictures.
I know, but
Sony
still,
Music.
I just want to say,
I'm not saying that they can't do a great job. I hope they do. And I've talked to some people there, and they're very, very nice people.
I'm going to embarrass myself, George, in front of you right now. I did buy the 4K. This is one of the things we show every week. I did get the 4K Underworld Box Set. I know, don't judge. I love Kate Beckinsale. But it does have a sticker that says, watch on your PlayStation 5. This is where physical media, I know, right? So we've got at least 10 years.
Synergy.
Corporates, but look at this. Look at this beautiful box set. It's got like a die. This is die cut. It slides open. I haven't even taken it out of the shrink wrap. I mean, Sony knows what's up.
As it should be, because to see companies doing their best work and working with their other divisions, that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. Now, what about, Dune? Obviously, HBO Max, people are incredible experience in the theater. I saw it at the Steve Ross on the Warner lot a couple weeks ago, thanks to Just a Brown Girl. Thank you very much. It was an amazing experience. So when Dune comes out, HBO Max title, what's that like? Does HBO Max, the fact that it was day and date, obviously there's going to be a big release of it. How does that work?
There will be a traditional 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, home entertainment release within the normal time frame from when it was released to theaters and to HBO Max for the 30 days, of this 2021 pandemic plan. But I have no idea what my colleagues are working on, because that's not my area. But I'm sure it's going to be an awesome 4K release.
Well, I mean, the movie's incredible. To get that, I hope it's an Atmos release with Dolby Vision and all that. It's amazing.
You could be assured of that.
Yeah, which is fantastic. And now that they've announced, the Bene Gesserit, the Sisterhood TV series, and the Dune 2 and all that. But listen, I said, come on for 15 minutes, George. You've been here for almost 90. And I have to say, dude, come on. We do trust you, by the way. It says trust me on the T-shirt.
I should, it's Matt Smith. It's a Doctor Who T-shirt.
Yeah.
So.
Which, by the way, means you belong on this channel. You're wearing a Doctor Who T-shirt on Halloween.
And it is a question of whether it's the 9th Doctor or the 10th Doctor in my household.
Do you have
equally for them?
Do you have a favorite Doctor?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's a little bit in Matt Smith's favor.
Wow.
But
even all the way back to William Hartnell? I mean, in the entire history.
No, this is the cool thing. My whole life has been about classic American film and television, and no knowledge or interest in, like, I knew what Doctor Who was because it was on PBS, but that was it. Some people, when they get into their middle ages, they get a little red Corvette, or they do something.
I know nothing about that.
Okay. What happened to me was becoming a Whovian and a Trekkie.
God bless you, sir.
So the MGM musical posters came off the wall, and Doctor Who and Star Trek went up. Doesn't mean I don't love all the stuff that I loved as a kid, but and then in the more recent years, I've kind of felt there's been no Doctor Who for me to love in terms of new stuff. But
I feel that way about Star Trek.
Well, just to see Patrick Stewart, I know we have questions about the writing and construction of the car.
Questions? That's very well put.
Just to see him, he could read the phone book, and I'm not.
Well, listen, George, you have been so gracious to come on because apparently Dieter, and to be fair, it's not his fault. I mean, I fell asleep on my 6-hour stream last night, so he can sleep. It's Halloween. I want to thank you for being on this episode, the Halloween 2021 episode of Let's Get Physical Media. And
My pleasure.
It's always great to have you. I called you at the last minute. I want to thank you for coming on. I would ask you, though, what can people look forward to? What should they look for as far as Warner Archive is concerned? And what are some of the things that you are really excited about moving forward?
Well, we've got a lot of very exciting plans for 2022, which I can't get into because until I have the disc in my hand,
right,
and I know it's a done deal.
And one of those is going to be Wild Wild Planet in 4K with a Dolby Vision HDR grade.
Don't say it can't happen. Who knows? It could happen, because something could happen where they say we need to remaster these 200 movies for HBO Max, and then suddenly I get a new master, because up to now I've been having to pay for it. Not me personally, but our division has had to pay for everything we've released.
Sure.
And we haven't really gotten any help from anyone. That's what's constricted our budgets. But if the company creates new masters, and there's a beautiful one of Wild Wild Planet.
Oh, and by the way, it would be so beautiful. But I think, let me ask you that. Okay, you just brought up an idea. So, HBO Max, which, by the way, it's going to be rebranded. They're going to change that name because it's been problematic. It's got to be, Warner Discovery Universe, or whatever it's going to be. But what I don't understand is, why doesn't HBO Max, or whatever it'll eventually be called, why don't they make a film noir place, a destination spot on their app, so you can look at these? If you like these films, I would think that anything that they could brand within their app would be something desirable. Wouldn't it be?
I think they're trying. They're great folks, the ones that are charged with the film programming, um, and they're finding their way within this huge organization, of which, the library product is just one small portion.
Right.
But I can assure you that there are people there that care and know their stuff, and I hope that they will get the support from their management to pursue those kinds of things,
Mm.
because it all costs money.
Yeah, I know. That has to be justified.
That evil green stuff called money.
I know. Well, George, it's Halloween, and I'm sure you've got small children to go scare, or adults that need killing, and you can be the Michael Myers of, I don't know. I'd like to believe that all of us nerds and geeks, we all turn into monsters on Halloween, and because wouldn't that be cool if we could? Like, I'd love to be an immortal vampire, like in the Warner Archive release of Tony Scott's The Hunger, which, by the way, is an amazing Halloween movie, and thank God Warner Archive released it. So thank you, George, for releasing David Bowie, Susan Sarandon, and Catherine Deneuve.
And I will just do a little shameless self-promotion for Warner Archive that we do have some new releases for Halloween. So if you can get your hands on it, Mad Love with Peter Lorre, scanned in 4K off our best preservation materials, Children of the Damned, which looks as great as Village of the Damned did, and Eye of the Devil with the glorious Sharon Tate.
Wow. So, Eye of the Devil, Village of the Damned, and what was the first one?
Mad Love.
Mad Love. You know what? I've never seen Mad Love, so now I'm going to get it. I'm going to buy it.
Peter Lorre's first American film.
Yeah. And well, listen, I want to thank you for being here on Let's Get Physical Media. And George, it's always, you're kind of like the third wheel of our duo. So to have you all to myself, I want to thank you. And thank you for your time. I mean, 5 minutes, 15 minutes turned into 90. And
that's really amazing, because I just had no idea so much time had passed.
Oh, that's amazing. And to have someone like yourself come on and give us your insight, it's invaluable. So I want to thank you. And believe me, I'm going to randomly call you, this was actually planned. I actually called you, an hour before the show?
Right.
As I usually call you, I'm going to call George while we're live. So this was like pre-planning. So fantastic. So thank you for being here, sir.
My pleasure, and goodbye to all your viewers, and I hope we all get together soon.
All of us. We should have like a studio day just for watchers of Let's Get Physical Media.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Well, we could get all the people. We could get all the people from Dave's video. We do a studio day, like Colleen Ben. She's part of it. Once a year, and we should do that. That would actually be kind of cool. A Let's Get Physical Media Warner Brothers meetup. We'll come to the lot.
Good. Maybe we can get, consider the Friends couch on the lot.
Well, no, it'd be kind of cool if, I don't know if people would do this, but if, with Mad Love, what about a Warner Archive screening series at the Steve Ross Theater?
Oh, we've actually been talking about doing just that once the day comes where normalcy returns to the workplace. And
yeah. Well, I have to say, having gone to the lot, Warner Brothers has a daily check-in. They have an app where you check in with your COVID status.
Right.
It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat the way they do it. And the Steve Ross Theater, there's no better place to see a movie. So, and they obviously can project digitally. The technology is incredible. And Warner Archive, it'd be kind of cool. I mean, you'd have to pay for, of course, the security and the people, but it would be cool to do a Warner Archive streaming series on the lot. Maybe memberships or something, and do it for HBO Max, and I don't know. Be kind of cool.
We would do it. We would, probably what we would do is we would join forces with HBO Max and TCM,
Yeah.
and because all three divisions have the same goal in mind, which is to serve the consumer with the best in filmed entertainment.
I mean, if there was like a membership series on the Warner lot, and the way the way they already run, it's really well run. They've got it down to a science. There's enough parking.
Yeah,
You go in the Hollywood Way gate.
phenomenal studio tour. The guy that runs our studio tours is a good friend of mine, so
I mean,
I'll ask him what he thinks about it, because it'll bring more people into his tour.
it'd be pretty dope. And you could even broadcast, like HBO could do like a live feed on their social media on the weekends. People Saturday and Sunday. Warner Archive presents, and you show the next 3 or 2 releases. Do a double feature day.
I would love to see it happen.
It'd be dope, man. I'm in. By the way, I'm signing up first.
Okay.
George, thank you for being here, sir.
Thanks, Rob.
All right.
Glad to be here. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle beings, kind souls from across the 28 known galaxies. That was George Feltenstein. My God, I mean, the man is a legend. And the fact that he comes on this show, I want to warn him. He should know better, but he doesn't. And thank you, George, for being here. Now, I don't know where Dieter went. I don't quite understand. I know I might have been a little late, but I'm just going to, since Dieter isn't here, I got a box of love from Dieter this week. I mean, it was supposed to be here earlier, but it wasn't. And I will start by showing this. We all want to see this. For those of you who are connoisseurs of European softcore pornography from the 70s, which I am, where women had bush and men did too, look at this. This is the Coke, the German company Coke, that's also doing the Dune box set. They released this slice of amazingness. For those of you, Just Jockin's Emmanuel, this was it was not, I guess it kind of was X-rated. It's European softcore pornography, and this box set is brand new. And I have to say, I can't show a lot of this because I'll get demonetized. But I wanted this because I'm a big fan of specifically Emmanuel 2, even though Emmanuel 1 is the. Let's open Emmanuel's box, shall we? I know. I know. I shouldn't say things like that. This is one of the most astonishing DVD box sets, or Blu-ray, 4K box sets. So, first of all, it comes with great, this booklet, this book. I mean, this is like, I can't even open this, but I can't, not because I can open it, but I can't even show you the pictures in here. But this is, well, I can show you this. It's got this fold out, yeah. So anyway, it's got a centerfold. I've never had it has a centerfold, and then, not to be outdone. Man, this box set's incredible. It comes with these cards. Like, I want to do, if I one day own a house, I'll do a whole Emmanuel bathroom just based on what's in this box set. And I can't show you all these pictures, but these oversized, these are heavy cardstock photographs. Look at the lovely Sylvia Crystal. So, let's just say, well, that's pretty dope. Now, here's the thing that blew me away. So, American one-sheets are, the classic one-sheet is 27 by 41, and if they have white borders. Modern one-sheets are 26 by 40. But this box set, I was like, what is this? When I opened this up, I'm like, what is this? This box set comes with, these are how American movie posters came up until about 1984 when they were rolled. I mean, I have a rolled Alien. There were rolled one sheets, but I won't get into the whole history of the National Screen Service Corporation. But so I got this. There are 3 of these, and these are classic 70s or this is classic American one sheets. I mean, look at this. This is an American. Wait, let me put it this way. Oh, wait, hang on, boobies. Wait, let me. Oh, well, can't. Up, my hands like I can't. I put. Anyway, it comes with 3 of these. For I mean, one day I'm gonna do an Emmanuel bathroom, just based on what is in this box set, and there are 3 Emmanuel one sheets in this box set. Unfucking believable. I was blown away. I'm like, wow, this shit is dope as fuck. And then, of course, you have the actual, when you finally dig deep enough, there's this. There's the actual box set of the Emmanuel films. And you have the first film in 4K, and you go up to Emmanuel 4, which I've actually never seen. It doesn't star Sylvia Crystal. And by the way, Emmanuel 3 sucks. There's no good sex in it. Anyway, but look at that. In case you ever wanted to have a 6-disc Emmanuel set, well then, this is the disc set for you. I probably should have saved this as my special edition, but, not going to do it. Oh, and by the way, look at this. This is awesome, too. It comes with the German rating thing, 18 rating for Emmanuel 1. I mean, you wacky Germans that have all your crazy sex clubs and all that, apparently in the 70s you weren't as free as you are now. That's a joke. Anyway, so this box set, wow. I mean, I'm blown away. Blown away. I don't know where the actual top of the box disappeared to, but apparently, oh no, it's right here. As I'm looking around going, wow, and even the box. I mean, this is an incredible special edition. Thank you, Studio Canal. Anyone, I'm telling you, it's good stuff. As you already saw, because I'm an idiot or a Kate Beckinsale fan, I did buy the 4K box set from Sony of the Underworld movies. Great packaging. Haven't cracked it open. Very cool. Thank you, Sony. Other things that Dieter Bastian sent me. Stuart Gordon's Space Truckers. Dennis Hopper. A media book. Very, very cool. How was this movie rated 16? I don't know. But there you go. Space Truckers. And then Dieter, because he sends me stuff like this. He's a big... no one loves... Dieter Bastian loves 2 things. He loves Jennifer Lawrence, and he loves Scott Adkins. I think he loves Scott Adkins more. But Dieter sent me Avengement. And this is a really thick, again, a name from Nameless. It is another media book. Great special edition. I mean, look at this cover. Come on, man. Come on. Pretty dope. Love it. Thanks, Dieter. It's great. Dieter also sent me Erin Cummings, who was on the John Campy show. Erin starred in a movie called Bitch Slap that I actually had her sign the domestic release. Dieter got me and Erin Cummings the German media book of Bitch Slap, so I have that. Pretty dope. I love, by the way, Dieter put this, in case I didn't know, he had to write Bobby on this yellow Post-it note. So thank you for that. Now, what did I get? What I didn't other than the Underworld box set, I got Violation. This is on Shudder, but I wanted this. By the way, thank you, Shudder, for putting your horror offerings on physical media. I mean, maybe it takes away from your streaming service. I don't know. And now, I'm going to admit, I'm a fan of the Purge movies. I did not watch the TV series, but I did get the Forever Purge, which is kind of the wokest Purge movie. I had to get that. And then the Sham Hammer, M. Night Shyamalan's graphic novel adaptation, Old. Had to get that. I liked Old. I like this movie. I mean, by the way, it's not great, but I do like it. And then last but not least, I think one of the best movies of 2021, The Green Knight. Again, it's fresh. This is, of course, the 4K version. It looks like a steelbook. It is not. Got that this week. So that is my haul. I wish Dieter was here. But you know what? You snooze, you lose. So that is my haul for the week. And I'm going to bring this episode 46 of Let's Get Physical Media. I know there's a time change, Dieter, whatever. I miss you, buddy. And you know what? Perhaps this is your way of telling me that you're going to go to Norway and just stream with Terrier. Because you and Terrier did, by the way, a great retrospective on John Carpenter's The Thing. Anyway, I'm going to bring this episode of Let's Get Physical Media to an end. I want to thank George Feltenstein for taking time out of his Halloween day, 90 minutes, in fact, to be on the show. So thank you, George. Thank you to the viewers. I want to thank you. Oh, wait, hang on. You know what? I just realized? I have not finished. People have been sending me questions, and I haven't even finished that. So, pardon. So let's go back. 200 Watt Studio says, even on DVD, you could still appreciate Victoria Principal's details in her swimsuit. 4K from the negative. Oh, yes. I just want everyone to know that I once went to dinner with Buzz Aldrin and Victoria Principal and all the founders who bought tickets on Virgin Galactic. I sat next to Victoria Principal. She was astonishingly beautiful in person. She smelled wonderful from a distance. My God. Intoxicating. And smart as a whip and wants to go to space. So, yeah. Fat Steven Seagal sends in a super chat and says, don't worry, I'm here now with espressos and cake. Well, Fat Steven Seagal, one day you're going to lose the fat and you're going to show up and be the Steven Seagal that should have been now. You're going to be like all buff and ripped and like it's going to be great. And you'll still bring us espressos and cake. So thank you, Fat Steven Seagal. I appreciate the support of the channel. 200 Watt Studio goes on to say, I just ordered Mad Love. Don't make sure it's not the Batman graphic novel. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank my moderating staff. I want to thank my members. I want to thank everyone. I know George's volume was very low. It was hard, tough. But I want to thank Justin Toner, one of the great physical media collectors on the channel, for moderating this chat. I don't know if anyone else is here, but thanks, Justin, for being here. I want to thank all of the great members of the Post-Geek Singularity community for watching me sleep last night. Apparently, I mean, come on, when it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I worked all day yesterday, and I stayed up all night for Midnight Metal. As long as you don't catch me masturbating on a live stream, it's all right. If you want to watch me sleep, fine. I can't, not, At least I put my all into everything. I want to thank all of you for supporting the channel via tips and super chats and memberships and all that. There's a lot of members here. I want to thank all of you for being that way, being great people. And we continue to endeavor to bring you great content. I really like interviewing people. And obviously, I want to bring more of that to the fore. And we'll see. But it all happens because of you, the great Post-Geek Singularity. Now, I know we got Halloween. It's still happening. It's Halloween for another, 10 hours. I want you guys to resist the urge to put razor blades and apples and all that. Just be good, kind to each other. And remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do, say it with me now, is listen. That's right. I want to thank everyone for being here. And as always, have a happy, safe, and most of all, frightfully scary Halloween. And, I mean that.